This game was played between Steinitz and von Bardeleben at Hastings in 1895. A Brilliancy prize was awarded to Steinitz for this game. This game begins with the main line of the Gioco piano in this way. The Gioco piano is infrequently played in top-level chess nowadays as it early simplifies the position. In this position, black plays d5, and this move d5 in this opening is now considered to be a mistake as it allows white too much play. The correct move here is now considered to be knight takes e4. But returning to the game after black plays d5 here, the game then continues. E takes d5. And then after some exchanges in the center, white plays rook to e1, and then black continues f6. This move is played with a multiple purpose. It allows black to play king to f7 as well as restricts the movement of the white knight on f3. Steinitz then continues queen to e2 and black plays queen to d7. Up to here this is a standard line of the Gioco piano, but which is inferior for black. Steinitz then continues rook a to c1. The usual move in this position is now considered to be queen to e4, but nonetheless Steinitz here plays rook a to c1. Black replies c6. This pawn advance protects the c pawn as well as restricts the advance of the white d pawn. Nonetheless, Steinitz advances the d pawn by playing d5, and then we have an exchange in the center. If instead of playing c takes d5, black plays king to f7, then we could have d takes c6, b takes c6, and black has an isolated c pawn. So that in this position, black decides to exchange in the center, c takes d5, and then Steinitz plays knight to d4, and this is a fine position for the knight, which is ready to jump to d6 or f5. In this position, the black knight is still pinned to the black king, so that black then plays king to f7 to unpin the knight and move the king out of danger. Steinitz then plays enter e6 as already foreseen, and this knight infiltrates the black position. Black then continues with the move rook h to c8, and this move is a mistake and is the main reason for black's rapid loss in this game. A better move in this position, instead of rook h to c8, is enter c6, and then we could then have nc5, queen to f5, knight takes b7, queen to d7, nc5, queen to d6, and white has a strong advantage. Nevertheless, in this position, as we have already said, black plays rook h to c8, and then Steinitz begins a kingside attack by queen to g4. This move threatens queen takes g7 check as well as the discovered attack knight to g5 check. Here black has no real alternative except to play g6, and then Steinitz continues with knight to g5 check, and white has a discovered attack on the black queen. Black is then forced to retreat the king to e8, and in this apparently simple position Steinitz finds an elegant combination, and his move is rook takes e7 check, which is a simple and yet wonderfully effective move. Black then plays king to f8 in this position. If we consider alternatives here, there are two alternatives. Black can take the rook on e7 with the queen, and we could then have rook takes c8, rook takes c8, queen takes c8, queen to d8, queen takes d8, king takes d8, and white has an easily won endgame. Alternatively, black can take the rook on e7 with the king, and then we have rook e1, check, king to d6, queen to b4, check, rook to c5, rook to e6, check, queen takes e6, knight takes e6, rook a to c8, knight takes c5, and white wins easily. Note that black here in this position is threatening mate by, for example, if white continues queen takes d7, then we have rook takes c1, rook to e1, rook takes e1 mate. So after black plays king to f8 in this position, Steinitz then continues his king attack with rook to f7 check. Again, there are various possibilities for black in this position. Black chooses to displace the king to g8. If we consider what happens when black takes the rook by queen takes f7, then we could have rook takes c8, rook takes c8, queen takes c8, queen to e8, knight takes h7 check, king to f7, queen takes e8, king takes e8, knight takes f6 check, and white wins easily. If, on the other hand, in this position, black plays king to e8, retreating the king, then white simply plays queen takes d7 checkmate. So that in this position, black decides to play king to g8, and then once again Steinitz pursues his king attack with a check by the rook by rook to g7 check. And then black plays king to h8, because if the white rook is taken by the king or the queen, then we have similar variations to before. For example, if queen takes g7, then we have queen to e6, check, king to h8, rook takes c8, rook takes c8, queen takes c8, queen to g8, queen takes g8, king takes g8, and white wins easily. If, on the other hand, black plays king takes g7, then we have queen takes d7, king to g8, queen takes h7 check, king to f8, queen to f7 checkmate. On the other hand, if black plays king to f8, then white could continue knight takes h7 check, king takes g7, queen takes d7 check, and white wins easily. So that in this position, after Steinitz plays rook to g7, black plays king to h8, and then white continues his attack against the king with the rook by playing rook takes h7 check, and then in this position black resigns. There are several possibilities in this position. Black can take the rook with the queen, and when we could have rook takes c8, rook takes c8, queen takes c8, queen takes g8, as before, king takes g8, and white has an easily won game. Alternatively, black can play in this final position where black resigned. Black could continue king to g8, and then white could continue rook to g7 check, and this returns to the previous position, with the difference that if now black plays king to h8, then white has a forced checkmate by, for example, queen to h4 check, king to h7, queen to h7, queen to h8 check, king to e7, queen to g7 check, king to d8, queen to f8 check, queen to e8, knight to f7 check, king to d7, queen to d6 checkmate.